Welcome to yet another version of the Quick Win Clinics here with marketingexperiments.com. I'm looking at a website submitted by a company we're all familiar with, Uber. And you might wonder with me, what can we do for this site? And even more, how could that be relevant to your own situation? After all, Uber is a very powerful brand. I think there is a lesson here that might be surprising. There's a dangerous trap that you might not see in the beginning. And so let's just take a moment, look at this site, and then go beneath classic optimization to a much more profound principle, and with it, a significant problem. Let me start by saying, if you were tasked with improving this site, what are the top 3 changes you would make? So as you think about that, let's just quadrant off this page a bit. I think there is a major image, and I'm just going to draw underneath that. There's clearly a sign-up mechanism, and there is a message, and of course there's the brand. Let's assume we can't do anything with the brand. Let's talk about the power of this headline, and then let's move swiftly to this form. But as you do so, again, bear in mind, we've looked at lots of forms like this in the past, and it could be that if we're not careful, we miss something significant here. Beginning with a headline, drive with Uber, earn money on your schedule. This is not a bad headline. The only thing I would suggest is that it doesn't indicate to me anything I don't already know, and you must understand that depending on the demographic segment coming to this page, segments mature. I think most of the world, at least here in the US, is familiar that you can drive with Uber and that you can earn money on your schedule. So in a sense, you're underscoring an existing message, but you're also losing a critical opportunity to say something unique and special that might make me reconsider or consider that this is the best place for me to stop. We all know that Uber competes with Lyft. What is there in this headline that makes me think Uber might be the best place or the best choice for me? Now, I could go deeper into this. You may recall the goal of a headline is to capture attention, number 1, and convert it to interest. That's 2 micro yeses in the inverted funnel. But I'm going to shift to the form. Those of you that are experienced here with our site and our conversion heuristics already know there's a problem with this headline on the form. Sign up now. You're telling me to do something, and there is 0 value. And not only is there 0 value, but you've added all of this friction, perhaps more than I need. In fact, you asked me to create a password at the beginning. Now, if I was trying to optimize the form, I would say, first of all, the headline is wrong. I would say, secondly, there's no promise of value anywhere, different than the 0 value of the headline. I would say, in addition to that, and I don't think I have room for that E, in addition to that, there's significant friction in here. And then there is implied friction with this button. It says next, but what does that mean? How many more steps are there? How long is this process going to take? This is something that I've taught in other Quick Win clinics called implied friction. It's the friction that occurs only in my imagination as I try and fill the gap between what I know and what I want to know. Now, that doesn't include the additional anxiety caused by all of this legal text at the bottom. If we were to look at this, we could say that of the conversion heuristic, and those of you familiar with McLabs, we've ran and marketing experiments, 20,000 plus experiments, developed all of these heuristics around the cognitive psychology of the purchase. I'm going to write a common one on the screen right now, but I again say stay tuned for something different. Even if you have all of our certifications, you may not know what I'm going to share with you next. 4M plus 3V plus 2, and I'm running out of time, or run out of room, I minus F minus 2A. This simple heuristic has to do with critical elements in the mind, including the motivation of the user, very important for today's section, clarity of the value proposition, incentive, friction, and anxiety. In light of all that, we can look at this page and say, wow, the sign-up process has a horrific headline, It just tells me something unpleasant to do. It has high friction, perhaps unnecessary friction. You could shorten the form fields and capture the rest in the secondary step and then remark it to those who didn't complete the process. Very powerful technique. It has implied friction with the button and anxiety underneath that with this paragraph of text. Now, here's where we start to get a little bit deeper. Despite all this friction, in fact, if I were to see this friction and we were to change this brand from Uber to X, I would suggest that X, whatever that stands for, would have a very low conversion rate on this page. I would suggest that the cost side of the purchase fulcrum is high. The value side is exceptionally low. This picture of an old man smiling doesn't necessarily help, and this statement of the obvious and all of this friction and anxiety over here. If this was an X, if this was Drive with X, this page would be performing poorly. However, how many of you think this page probably signs up a lot of drivers? I can tell you, I don't know if this page is the only portal to that driving offer, but I can tell you this, we all know Uber has signed up, I guess, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of drivers, and they're signing up every day. So what is the problem? Wait a second, how does that connect? Why are so many drivers signing up? And here is the key. This is the additional principle I want to teach in the last few moments. You see, we think a lot about what's happened in the sequence of thought once somebody arrives on this page. And if value has not been established and stored in a container we'll call brand, then the person arriving at this page must generate the value, generate an understanding of that, and also cope with the negatives, the friction and the anxiety. And in those cases where there isn't value stored, existing in the thought sequence prior to arriving at this page, we're going to have a significant problem. But the challenge is, the unique value for us to consider is that brand can serve as a container for stored value. Brand itself is about an impression on the mind. Think about that. The value proposition is about an experience, but brand is about an impression. And you have an impression about Uber that connects to all the things you have experienced or that your friends have experienced in the value proposition. This experience in the value proposition drives and supports and works with the impression you already have. It is not the only factor on the impression. For instance, the brand colors and the brand mark and the brand language, its iconography can all serve to deepen that impression. The worst possible thing is if the two contradict. If you're experienced and the messaging, so to speak, of the brand do not match, you get the failure of a trust trial and significant pain. Stay with me again, because I have something more important to say. Yes, if you agree with me that Uber's page is working largely because of the stored value in the brand container that someone carries with them when they come to this page, then you may also realize this particular insight. For the very reason that brand is so powerful, the marketers assigned to this page cannot see or detect how poor the design is. Because the stored value exceeds the existing negatives, and so many people sign up. They know about Uber. They have an expectation that is connected to their impression. I'm going to say that again. Ready? They know about Uber, and they have an expectation connected to their impression, and with the combination of the impression and the expectation, they still complete this form. Now, marketer, any one of you that represents a brand that has some impact in the marketplace are liable to fall into a trap, and that is to overestimate the quality of your pages, of their messaging. For those who do not carry in their container along with their thought sequence, a sufficient understanding of the brand, those people on the outer edges with diminishing levels of M motivation from this index, this page will not work. So you are losing a group of people, and it's hard to detect it. In fact, because of the power of that brand container, you may fail to see the true effectiveness of your work. And therein lies the trap of today's Quick Win Clinic. Beware of those situations where the power of the brand obscures the quality or lack thereof in your messaging. The effectiveness of the message can be obscured by the velocity associated with the brand.